Hey guys, this is Pablo with Meditation Amsterdam, and I had today a very big insight or a very big realization, which came as part of a combination of a kind of non-dual episode, if we can call it that, and some pretty strong shadow work. And it is the solution to why I've always felt out of place. Now, um, in itself, talking about this and admitting that you feel out of place or that you've felt out of place and unable to find something that feels like home and be happy is quite a thing to admit. It's not an easy admission. We invest much of our lives in either trying to be happy or trying to show that we are and that we know exactly what to do and how to get around. But for me, there's been always this accompanying feeling of not being certain of exactly what to do or whether I'm doing the right thing, and sort of looking for confirmation that what I am and who I am and what I'm doing or where I am is correct. And that confirmation has never arrived. There's a missing sense of belonging, you could say. Now, since I love to quote movies, we go back to The Matrix as usual. And when Neo meets Morpheus for the first time, Morpheus says that there is a question that is like a splinter in his mind. In other words, it's like something that you can't get rid of. Is this uncomfortable, this stone in your shoe or fly in your soup, whatever analogy we can use. Morpheus uses it like a splinter in your mind. It's something that's that you can't get rid of, and it's damn uncomfortable. And I think a lot of us related to that phrase in the movie. And then Neo says, yes, the question that's driving me mad is, what is the Matrix, right? Now, so once you start to admit that this is the case for you, you are starting to become acquainted with the first noble truth, dukkha. There is suffering. It takes a while to get there. Many people go to their graves without ever admitting to themselves that this was the case, either because they were actively suppressing it or because their repression mechanisms were so effective that they didn't even notice. There was no splinter in their mind. They were just doing their thing, being, living a life of production and reproduction, and just trying to be useful and the rest of it. And, a part of me has always been kind of jealous of that, but always felt and knew that I was not meant to be that kind of thing because my sensitivity would preclude it. So coming to terms with the splinter in your mind and knowing that it's there, you nevertheless make very, very brave attempts at trying to figure out who you need to be to feel at home and to feel empowered, what you need to do to get that reassurance, where you need to be to know that you're in the right place, and when you need to be there to know that you are in the right time, you see? So we have these questions of, am I the right thing? Am I in the right place? Am I in the right time? And the answer is a constant no. No, 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 no. And I'm ready to admit I've tried everything. I've tried absolutely everything from religion to logic to art to sports to romance to business. And though the experiences have been very interesting and enriching, they never deliver on that which I was looking for. This finally being at home, finally feeling like I was at home, knowing who I am and knowing what to do. There was always the lingering question, how am I supposed to be? Am I doing the right thing? And so on. And the answer has been peaking through my studies and my meditations and even these videos that I do, but never quite as clear as it became today. And that's when phrases that I had read and analogies that I had listened to all clicked together. The answer is that personhood, space, and time are unreal, at least in the sense, in the form that we see them. They are not fundamentally real. They have no being of their own. They are renderings or projections. That's not to say that we go down the philosophical road of nothing is real. It's less to do with practical reality or philosophical reality. It has more to do with the fact that they are a dashboard with which reality can be known, but they are just that. They are really just a dashboard. That means that you can never be the right person and you can never be in the right place and time. That all attempts at being the right person or all attempts at getting it right or being in the right place and time are going to either immediately or eventually be met with disappointment. They simply can't deliver on the home and the love that we're looking for, because that can only be found in self-realization and in finding the actual self, which is not dependent on personhood, but also in which space and time disappear. And I now come to realize I could never be the right person because personhood is the fundamental problem to begin with. And that I could never be in the right place or time, that I could never make space and time my home because space and time arise from the sense of separation from my very own self. They are a split in me. I split into space and time when I am not at home. And to look for my home in space and time is a completely useless attempt. It's a mirage. And we keep interacting with that mirage and we keep trying to squeeze love and validation and selfhood out of it. And it cannot give it to us because it is a mirage. So things don't last. They break apart right in front of our nose. And we try to hold on to a mirage, but it's sand. You know, a mirage is made of heated sand and the reflection, right? So we try to hold to the mirage and we see it slipping through our fingers like sand. And it creates incredible amount of pain. And we try to drink from the mirage and all we swallow is sand. And it's just like, it's horrific, right? So it cannot satisfy. You cannot drink from a mirage. And we're desperately trying to drink from that mirage by trying to be the right person or try to be in the right circumstance, which is made of space and time. When our very sense of space and time is the problem to begin with and needs to collapse back into a here and now in which space and time are not. I want to read a quote from Nisargadatta Maharaj that immediately sprung to mind, though I had not. It made an impression several times when I've read it, because I have read it several times. But now I know exactly what it means. So I want to read it for you guys. I haven't done book reviews in a while or whatever, but this seems very pertinent right now. And it says, a man of low intelligence believes against all evidence that he is an exception and that the world owes him happiness. But the world cannot give what it does not have. Unreal to the core, it is of no use for real happiness. It cannot be otherwise. We seek the real because we are unhappy with the unreal. Selfhood, space, and time. That's my little commentary. And then he says, happiness is our real nature and we shall never rest until we find it. Boy, is that profound. but rarely we know where to seek. Once you have understood that the world is but a mistaken view of reality, listen to that. In other words, space and time are a mistaken view of reality. You can only really know this when they collapse into the non-dual. Otherwise, it's pure speculation, of course. This is me again. And that's why the work needs to be done. So now we go back to the quote. And the world is not so once you have understood that the world is but a mistaken view of reality and it is not what it appears to be, you are free of its obsessions. Only what is compatible with your real being can make you happy. Okay, so here comes, this is the big one. Only what is compatible with your real being can make you happy. And the world as you perceive it is its outright denial. The world as you perceive it is the outright denial of your real being, which is neither personhood, a separate identity, nor is it playing out in space and time. Space and time is the very denial of what you are, the very denial of what we're looking for. So the irony is just enormous, of course. The irony and our misguided but brave and sincere attempts at finding happiness in the world cannot but be met with frustration, because unknown to us, due to a mistaken view of reality, a mind that has not been clarified, we are seeking ourself in a matrix of space and time that will only deny our being by its very own nature. This space and time dashboard that we create in our mind cannot possibly show us who we actually are. That's another interesting quote from the Matrix, which reinforces that very point. The writing to see the oracle. And Neo looks out the window and he says, so many memories from this place, none of them real, he says. And then he looks at a restaurant and he says, I used to have noodles in that place, best noodles in town. None of my memories are real. And then he says to Trinity, what does that mean? And Trinity says that the Matrix cannot tell you who you are. And the big answer that you're looking for, or that we are looking for, is who we actually are. To seek that satisfaction in a fragmented reality of space-time is impossible. To know this for a fact is only possible when little episodes, whether prolonged or casual or accidental, or as outcome of doing the cultivation, the shadow work, the embodiment, and so on, that through doing that, little episodes of non-duality become available to you. And then you come to realize that the matrix of space-time was a little facade, a little rendering of the mind, let's call it like that. It's a very complex rendering, very rich, to be sure. But that to try to squeeze homeliness, love, and reality out of that is a very sorry mistake, actually. It's a very misguided attempt, very misguided indeed. So that's what I wanted to share today. It's a very, very fresh insight, literally from half an hour ago. And I could not wait to share it because it's very important. Not because it might change your reality, although it might, but it is important for anyone who's listening to know that there is a there, that sticking to the process starts to deliver on the insights that are promised. And there is no bypassing this. Some of us might be luckier than others in having either less trauma or more understanding of what surrender means, more intuitive understanding on some of these things or whatever. That's not been the case with me at all. I've just had to sort of essentially blood, sweat, and tear myself out of this whole thing. But it is happening for real, and it's, you start to feel it in your bones when certain openings start to happen, and when things become clearer, and when these kind of insights become established experientially, that none of the books on Hermeticism or yoga or Advaita are sending you on a wild goose chase. It's for real. It really is. It really is for real. And it might feel like you're paying a big price to actually enter that space, and it feels like that for the ego. But the ego is a necessary evil that has been there to act as a protector and a obfuscator of reality. And to not do away with it at some point makes for very lopsided human beings and very unhappy human beings. And so it's, as usual, an invitation to do the work. Just do the work. I had a session earlier today with someone, and we were in the middle of a session trying to work with feelings and emotions. And right in the middle of it, the person started to philosophize a little bit, and I was perhaps a bit harsher than I should have been. But I just, there's just 1,000 excuses in the mind so as not to feel the fears that haunt us, and the supposedly horrific things that we are ashamed of, or feel guilty about, or angry, or whatever. Just go there, go into it, no matter what it takes. Try to do it by creating the right conditions in the body mind so that the system feels ready to engage with these things. Try to cultivate that stability, that level-headedness, and so on, and then just go there. Just go there. The reward is just so tremendous. It's difficult to describe how things start to become the more we do this, and at that, when that becomes clear, when the first non-dual view starts to arise, then we come to realize not just that space-time as an experiential filter is optional, but it is also the lower resolution, clunkier, and more frictionsome and a primitive use that we can make of our mind. Our mind is so much more sophisticated than that. That to not pursue this, to me, starts to look ever more strange, right? You think, I mean, this is, it's funny because once you've done this long enough, the way, between quotes, normal people live starts to seem truly just, I don't know how they do it, other than, like I said, if you are born to be someone who produces and reproduces themselves, right? Like just the natural repetitive cycle of nature. If that's the cards that you are dealt, then not doing this is just the most natural thing in the world for you, until perhaps tragedy strikes, or you name it, right? Life has funny ways to awaken us. So that is today's video. Is perhaps not the most enthusiastic that I feel. Like I said, I just came out of doing some very deep shadow work on my couch. But it's almost like, I mean, the payoff of eating bitter has become now so high that, there comes a point where there's just no stopping any of this. And the insights that come from that are also very cool, and I wanted to share that with you guys. So there you have it. That's how I spend my Friday evenings. How cool is that? My God, what a nerd. Thanks for listening so far. Curious to hear what your thoughts are on the topic, and if you think that these talks and this channel might be helpful to others, then your liking, sharing, and subscribing is always more than welcome. Thanks for listening. I'll be back with more videos pretty soon. Cheerio. Bye-bye.